All right, let's get started on Steven Crowder.
Let's jump into this first story. We have this stopbigcon.com.
Yeah.
Louder with Crowder, stop Big Con, stay in Mug Club, or join a new, enter your email below. So let's get started and talk about from the beginning. You, most people are familiar with the story.
Yeah.
I want to make sure as we get this started, I want to make sure there's important contextual understanding. People have asked why it's so important that, and why is everybody interested in this story? Why have we talked about it so much? First, I will say, well, I'm biased. I worked for big corporations. I've run my own company. I have this passion for how the media companies operate, how I operate my media company, my vision for the future. And I know so much about this. It's something I care about. When I hear about it, I'm just driven to want to understand more, talk about it, share these ideas. But it's more than just that. I just want to make sure that my bias is clear. It's that I, for one, have taken issue with the establishment media, the traditional media systems, how they operate with contracts. And so trying to build something different, I see what Crowder announced and what he's talking about, and I ideologically agree. So this conversation could change the shape of how media moves forward as the corporate media system is dying, firing people, laying people off, and an independent ecosystem is emerging with these networks. Which form is it going to take? It could go completely corporate, it could go completely independent, it could be a mix of both. But this is a conversation that is extremely important moving forward. So we're hanging out with Steven Crowder and Gerald, of course, to talk about all this.
The business side more. I don't really take care of the finances as much.
What's the story here? What's the story?
Well, first off, let me set something up off the bat. I want to make sure that everyone here knows. Like, I know that you guys have made very clear that you're monetized on YouTube because you believe that you can fight against big tech by sort of operating to some degree within the rules. But you've been very transparent about it, and so I don't want you to think that is at all the same as what I have a problem with. And, I mean, we can go back to a few things. Look, it really comes down to what's right. It really comes down to what the truth is. And this is something that's been a long time coming. Gerald actually came on as CEO because we're being batted around so long. This is years and years in the making. I get the point with corporate media.
Why can't you just be honest, bro? Like, just why? Why can't you just be like, yeah, I wanna fucking build a media list, you know? Everything has to be about like fighting the big guy. Bitch, we know the big guy's on your back. All these dudes in the same room saying the same shit, like, oh man, we're fighting against all these enemies, these shadowy enemies. It's like, bro, what do you mean? Like, people who control society give you money all the time, okay? And they give you money because they like what you're saying. What matters is that this is a very valuable tool to keep the working poor divided.
The issue that I have with many in the conservative side of this sphere is the fundamental misleading and dishonesty. That's what I have a problem with. And you see that here as this story took place. Kind of it started right where we released this video. We didn't, and it was just by design, didn't name names because there could be a litany of contracts that are similar to this. A lot of them are often verbal offers.
We mentioned it could have been Fox News for all anyone knew, and they're the corporate monolith.
There's about 4 or 5. I would say we have 4 or 5 offers, and then there are other investors who come into the space who just want to dump in a whole bunch of money. Daily Wire here outed themselves, and I understand that people are saying, well, people knew who it was. Well, that's because some of the people who were under those contracts said, yeah, I recognize those contracts. And Candace said on this show, I recognize the terms from my contract. Here's the thing. I said this is wrong. Penalizing conservatives, and I believe this to my absolute core, penalizing conservatives on behalf of big tech while taking money from people who are paying you, investing in you to fight big tech. That is what they're investing in. That is what Mug Club is investing in. That's what subscribers are investing in.
It's awesome. He's just like, dude, you come to me because I tell you all the dumb shit. I'm a dumb guy, and I'm telling you the most racist shit that you can hear, okay? And you want to hear more of that. And big tech is so against it, dude. They're so against it. So, hey, you just got to, sometimes I'm going to get banned, so you got to go to my Mug Club to get all the OnlyClans content, you know? Just, I paywalled it. Just got to do it.
While simultaneously penalizing conservatives is fundamentally wrong. I had that conversation and said, look, just please give me your word. You're not going to be doing this with other people who, as you well know, when you start in this industry, don't know better. Immediately after that, right, the conversation was, Crowder is making a big deal as a dick about money, right? Basketball money. $50 million a year was the implication, which you know is not true. People aren't saying that now. That's not what people have a problem with.
Yeah, because people are stupid. He has every right to basically say, dog, you're hiring me to be racist. Why would you penalize me for being racist and then fucking getting clapped for it? It's literally a funding vehicle for the right to go overboard, get banned, and then push people to a fucking paywall where you can be as unhinged as you want. Okay, he would never say that. Yeah, of course he's not going to say that, but I do understand why he's mad. I do get why he gets upset at that clause, for sure. But, like, this could have been discussed over the phone, where in a secret conversation, not a recorded one, where Jeremy Boring was probably going to tell him, hey, listen, you just got to dial it back a little bit. You're too overboard. We love your shit. We love how racist you get. It's cool. Just don't go overboard. That's it. Just, like, don't get banned. That's it. We need you as a propaganda mouthpiece, but when you get banned, we don't have that propaganda mouthpiece any longer.
Very important context to this is, obviously, after you put out the first video, I've talked with a bunch of my friends, and they said, look, you know, Daily Wire's trying to run a business. If he gets banned off YouTube, how are they going to sell ads? How are they going to do the sponsorships? Where his views are gone. Yeah. And I've seen people tweet, all of Crowder's views come from YouTube anyway, so he'd basically be unmonetizable if he was banned. And then I point out, first of all, that's just categorically false.
Yeah, it's not true.
Because Rumble exists. And
Ben streamed there for the first time today.
And this is an important context. The contract you were offered says Facebook, Apple, I said YouTube, Apple, Facebook, Spotify, but it didn't mention any of your views from any other platforms. And there's Google Podcasts. They get views. I know the numbers. Obviously, it's not the same as, say, Apple. But it's interesting to me that for a lot of people, like Dan Bongino, for instance, had more subscribers on Rumble than YouTube. Yeah. It's interesting then that their attitude is, if you're banned from YouTube, it's a 20% fee reduction, which you mentioned includes your staff 25. Salary. 25.
And then, sorry, 25 for and then another 20. It's 45. In other words, for us, right off the bat. And this is the thing. I said, like, what, is this an accident? Like, you know, in other words, okay, we're good. But let me friends. But hold on a second. Does anyone here have a problem? Do you not believe me when I say we haven't been monetized on YouTube for 3 years? You all know that, right?
Of course.
Literally,
and we're not that close.
0 days, or did you have?
So what happened is we were demonetized. How many years ago? Then someone accidentally remonetized us for like 4 months, and then demonetized. And then demonetized again. We were like, "What happened?" And they were like, "Yeah, actually, no, sorry, you're demonetized again." I was like, "Well, skunked again."
So what did we do to get monetized, basically?
So if you get demonetized on YouTube so much and it makes no money for you, why don't you just like take all of your content to Rumble? What could be the reason why you still want to stay on YouTube when you very clearly have this alternative bastion of conservative ideas, you know, this free speech only space, as a matter of fact? So what's up with that? Why is it these guys are always on big tech when they have created alternatives to big tech? Is it perhaps because little tech, if you want to call it that, is not real? There's no real reach there? Because it's so odd that they try to always justify, like, Rumble's fucking sweet. I mean, I got more subscribers on Rumble than anything else. I mean, I'm fucking killing it on Rumble. It's like, then why aren't you just on Rumble? If there was a platform that routinely banned me, okay, and I had an alternative to that platform that was even larger, like TikTok. I get banned on TikTok regularly, right? But I also understand the awesome power that TikTok has with respect to reach, which is part of the reason why I don't want to fucking get banned on TikTok.
An answer, right?
I want to make sure this point is made clear for everybody, because this is a very important part of the argument when I heard it. If the point is you can't sell ads or build an audience because YouTube banned you and that's it, but you're getting 85% or more views on Rumble, the question is, why no penalty for getting banned from Rumble? Why is Rumble not a consideration in the contract?
Yeah, if you're getting 85% or more views on Rumble, that's a good question. Maybe you should double down on that question and ask yourself that question and go, what's up? Why do you want to stay on YouTube then? I wonder why no penalty on getting banned on Rumble. Well, one, because you'll never get banned on Rumble. And two, Rumble doesn't matter. It's not real. But Tim can't say that. You want to know why? Because he's on Rumble. Because every conservative has to maintain this lie that, like, Rumble is real. Rumble is a real platform. It's actually a really good YouTube competitor. Meanwhile, I'm willing to bet they spend the majority of their fucking funds after, obviously, video hosting services. The majority of Rumble's funds probably go to legal, specifically so that they can turn around and fucking consistently fucking battle the free speech fighters like YouTube.
At all. And why don't they simply say comparable views instead of the platform?
Right.
Like, if for every million views per day you lose, we dock you X%.
I can answer you that question exactly. Because
so what
it's
happened?
fundamental to the business model. And I was informed of that. It is fundamental. In other words, there are plenty of options out there, right? He can tell you. I get excited when I walk out of them and go, hey, how many people were tuning in live on YouTube? How many on Rumble? They go, oh, it's tips. There are more people on Rumble. Sure, I've been on YouTube for a long time, since 2006. But it doesn't mean that they don't change, right? And the issue is, I think it's a great thing to use these platforms. There's a huge difference, by the way, between being monetized and being on the platform.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if we believe what we say, we have to be trying to get to the point where we know that fast forward 5 years, you can't speak the truth on YouTube, certainly not if you want to be monetized. But there's this jockeying for position with people who they see as competition. And the issue here that I've always made clear is the locking in of these punitive contracts that mandate and enforce big tech policies and guidelines as a matter of business. And that hurts creators. And the same thing, by the way, when we're talking about misleading practices with sponsors. There's no problem, right? And this is all publicly verifiable. I want you guys to be able to audit this so that there don't have to be as many receipts provided. You market your channel, right? I think we probably have some ads running right now like Spotify, like, hey, if you like this show, tune in on Spotify. Yeah. But there's a big difference. We know that there's a huge problem in our industry of pay-to-play. Now, you can do that. That's fine if you want to grow your numbers. But
what is that?
So pay-to-play means that you can buy views, right? You can pay to play. You can run your video as a pre-roll ad, and people see that number. But really, a lot of them are 14-second views, 8-second views, but it still clicks that counter. The closest apples-to-apples comparison that you could do right now is you could go out and take, like, let's say, not this controversy because there's cross-pollination, but Ben Shapiro's a huge show. Of course he is. But go take some videos there right now that have 1 million plays. Go month after month. Take a bunch of them. Look at the likes. Look at the comments. Take videos from my channel. It's comparable plays. Take them with 800,000, 600,000 plays because we've converted them a lot to Rumble. Look at the likes. Look at the comments. It's startling because it's a lot easier to buy plays than it is to buy likes and comments. That's not a problem.
Well, are you saying that the Daily Wire is buying views for their content?
I'm saying that they run the videos. This happens not just Daily Wire, to be clear. Stop Big Con is designed because it's the entire industry. And what happens is, yes, these views get inflated. There's nothing wrong with running ads to increase the video count. The problem is this. When that is used to then go out and...
I mean, he's not wrong. They do that. They 100% do that. A big chunk of advertising revenue goes back into inflating fucking view counts on YouTube. It is hilarious to turn around and act like you can't view bot Rumble, though, when it's infinitely easier to just view bot a website like Rumble. It is funny, though, to think about, like, these major conservative commentators, like, they buy millions and millions of dollars of ads of their own content specifically to make it seem like their content is being viewed by more people.
Sponsorship rights. And then this is what happens with creators. When you sit down with sponsors, and these are hard-earned dollars, right? A lot of them are mid-sized companies. You run them on this show and they say, yeah, but you know what? We didn't get our money's worth, and this person is the #1 show, because they go out and they say that they have these numbers, and they set what happens? They drop those rates across the board, which hurts everybody, or they pull out altogether. Now, you can publicly verify that information. Now,
yeah, this practice is very commonplace, and it's done all the time in every avenue of media, by the way. But one of the grossest and very obvious, transparent ways that they do it is the New York Times bestseller list. Everybody wants to be on the New York Times bestseller list. So what do conservatives do? They will literally write a book. Step 1, write a book. Step 2, get conservative lobbyists to purchase like thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of said books that will never be read by a human being. Okay? They're just rotting in a basement somewhere. Ultimately, there's pallets of these fucking books sitting in basements somewhere in DC. But doesn't matter. Now it's on the New York Times bestseller list. Don Jr. did this. Every single person did this. Every single conservative that has made it to the bestseller list has always purchased done this exact same thing.
Now, I could tell you guys that I've had conversations with sponsors that say, we're not going to be running in the conservative space because it's just not as effective as we thought it was, or you know what, we're going to be pulling out. And content creators just say, why am I getting these low advertising rates? Here's the issue. If you're some kid, and by kid I mean, you know, you could be a 40-year-old with a smaller podcast. Let's say you get 250,000 plays. Not as big, but good numbers. Let's say you get 500,000.
Another way that conservative big con makes money is speaking engagements, which is why they always like go after Hillary Clinton and shit, which is understandable. Hillary Clinton does that shit too. Speaking engagements is another way to like funnel funds, additional funds into like conservative speakers. You know this, like Charlie Kirk specifically was outed as someone who kept getting money from old conservatives like Foster Freeze, and then dumping all of those funds back into ads on Facebook. And the ads were being seen by like 75 plus. His target demographic on Facebook of Turning Point USA, an institution that is supposed to be there specifically for the younger generation of conservatives, to create the younger generation of conservatives. Their ads were targeting 75-year-olds on Facebook. Why? Why were they targeting 65 to 75-year-olds on Facebook if their goal is to change the minds of the youth? That's how they do it. It's just like, it's a grift. PragerU has inflated views. Daily Wire has inflated views because they have a shitload of funds that they claim is for marketing. And what are they marketing? Just their own videos. That's why every single one of my videos on my YouTube is accompanied by like a Matt Walsh ad, okay?
I'm flying to my mother's house because she's turning 60. God bless her heart, but maybe another day.
Yeah, I already wished her a happy birthday.
You're such a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit.
No, she appreciated it. All right.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. Have a good one. I mean, that's a classic. I had to do it. That's a classic. And the autonomy he's referencing is not even about like benefits or compensation. It's about the right to be racist. I'm losing it.
And that's the issue. Look, it doesn't affect me. I'll be fine either way. But we've always talked about building a bench, and I've always talked about wanting to be able to pass the torch. It's not possible to do this way. And by the way you know this is true is right now I have said I don't want to do this. Again, I've been thinking about this for a long time, trying to work behind the scenes, trying to work within the system until I realized there's just no interest in doing it that way. And then you say, okay, is our move, this is why we lose. Conservatives wonder, what the hell, with the midterms, what the hell happened?
Like, none of this makes any sense, dude. You're anti-worker. Like, most of your commentary revolves around being anti-worker. It doesn't make sense if you're like, if you're trying to like change the Daily Wire from the outside, like just do your own thing. I don't get it. Like you're like, I don't like the funding mechanism of Daily Wire being over reliant on like YouTube and not being banned off YouTube. They should use a better way to fund themselves so they can be as racist as they want to without YouTube, while simultaneously everybody in the fucking process understands that YouTube still has the largest audience. If that was the fucking case, then you would never go on YouTube. You just be on Rumble. But nobody wants to be on Rumble because everybody fucking understands that Rumble is fake. It's fake views. They need the real audience. And the real audience is on YouTube. So, of course, they're going to want to fucking maintain their prominence on YouTube.
Why do you think? Why do you think people like Lindsey Graham, like Mitch McConnell, nothing personal against them, why do you think that there are people out there and you go, how do they not get voted out? Why do you think these are our decisions for speaker? These are our choices. Why do you think you constantly lose? Because the people who really do want to be the vanguard at the cutting edge, they burn out and they leave because they can't compete against it. And that's the issue.
I got to tell you, man, I make this point all the time where I just say, for all the people who are claiming I'm a grifter or I only want money and that I don't really believe the things I'm fighting for, I'm like, it would be so much easier to sell everything, shut it all down, and just buy some properties, rent them out, and not have to worry about it.
Again, while I was playing Valorant, this was the part where we were watching, and I loved this take because, like, remember, I always say it would be infinitely easier to be a right-wing grifter. I would make so much more fucking money. Notice how he doesn't say I would just grift for the left. I would just quit and become a landlord. It's so much easier to be a landlord, which is true. Being a landlord is pretty easy. Okay? But you understand that, right? Like, you get why right-wingers don't turn around and say, oh, yeah, it would be so much easier if I was a left-wing commentator. I would just become a left-wing grifter commentator and then, cultivate an audience of unhinged weirdos that are going to yell at you for every little thing and exist and operate in a space where you're trying to cultivate an audience that's broader of unhinged weirdos that are constantly fucking woke scolding and like seeing you in the absolute worst lens possible, despite the fact that they adore you or have adored you in the past and have given you money because they think your commentary is good and valid, and yet they still turn around and are insanely uncharitable. Nobody wants that. Nobody fucking wants an audience full of mentally ill, uncharitable freaks. Okay? You do this for the love of the game.